Harry, could you tell us a bit about how you first got involved in Glasgow's house scene and what drew you to the sub club in the early days?
Well, I suppose when I came, I was working in the oil industry in Aberdeen in this kind of mid 80s. So it wasn't really house. When I first came back to Glasgow, it was more like soul and funk and reggae and rare groove
Mhm.
and that type of thing. House was just arriving there, house and early hip hop. So, and when I came back to Glasgow, my brother had a friend, oh God, Ewan Dale, who was a resident at the sub club. And the sub club was just a Friday and a Saturday night from different venues in Glasgow. At that point, it was from where we are now in Jamaica Street, but at that time the venue was known as Lucifer's.
That's right. Yeah.
And Ewan Dale was going on holiday and asked me to stand in for him for a couple of weeks, and I did. And then a guy that was there asked me for my phone number and introduced me to the guy that owned the venue, and they offered me and this guy a Saturday night there. I think he wanted the sub club guys out of there, so he gave us a night, and our
Right.
night became very popular. And then, cut a long story short, the guys that owned the sub club night, Graham Wilson and another couple of guys, Sam Piagentini and can't remember the other guy's name. Uh, Graham linked with a guy called Greg McLeod. And Greg, I don't know if he still has a place in Gourock or somewhere like that. And they took over the sub club in 1987. So I started kind of 85. I first ever played there in 85, 86. And then the house thing started taking off 86, 87 maybe.
Yeah.
So I just happened to be in the right place at the
Right.
right
Yes.
time type of thing, you know.
What was your record collection like at that time? What were you listening to? You know,
I had quite a kind of eclectic taste. Also, I had quite a good job in the oil industry, so I could afford to buy imports and things that nobody else
Mhm.
had. And I spent a lot of money in that. You know, I would be
Right.
ordering imports every week, you know, the
Right.
early hip hop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just stuff from America mainly. And I played a lot of reggae as well, a lot of Jamaican
Right.
stuff and that type of thing. So I was playing rare groove, soul, funk, James
Yeah.
Brown, all that kind of stuff. And then the more electronic stuff started happening, you know, I didn't learn to mix till about 1985, 86. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Before that, I had like belt driven decks in the house because I'd make up mixtapes for friends, you know, make up
Brilliant.
cassette tapes when your pals were going on holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of started out doing it just as a wee hobby.
Yeah.
And then I started a wee night in Aberdeen when I worked there. And it became kind of popular. A girl I was seeing was in a band at the art school. So we got art students, and I worked in a drawing office at the time, and we got a lot of young folk that worked in my drawing office. Uh, so we started doing a Friday night in Aberdeen, and it was quite a good wee night, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And the I guess what did you have a vision that you know you talked there about you kind of fell into it, you know, somebody wasn't going to be at that night and they asked you to do it. Once you got your feet in there and you got that night, what was the vision for subculture? What was the
But for
goal there?
subculture never started till 94.
Uh-huh.
Until that, from 1990 to 94, I did a night called Atlantis with the Slam
Yeah.
and Soma
Yeah.
guys
That's
with
right.
Alden
Yeah.
Stewart. And before that, I don't think anybody really had a vision. You were just doing a wee thing that, you know, you did at that time and you thought it could last a month or
Yeah.
who kind of really knew. So
Yeah.
you'd no idea that, you know, certainly then that it would go on as long as this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it was just like oh, this would be a good idea. And I had the records because a friend of mine started a reggae club in East Kilbride that had become really popular. And he always said to me, you should start your own night because
Yeah.
I kind of introduced him to reggae.
Right.
And I had a broad scope of music, you know, like Fela Kuti and King Sunny Ade and his African beats. I was into all Latin music, African music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jazz, hip hop. I liked everything really, you know. And so I suppose it was your records that other people didn't have then
Yeah. Yeah.
that gave you something a bit unique.
And I guess that leads me on. So that there was that split in music, I guess, because the Stuart Nord and Islam they wanted to create something different, and I guess you was that when Subculture was created because you were kind of
What
wanting
happened with that was we were doing between myself and Stuart Nord various nights about the city. I had a very successful kind of Sunday night in a club called Fury Murray's, and they'd started a Thursday night called Black Market in Fury Murray's.
right, yeah, yeah,
Both our nights were doing quite well. And then I was doing a thing called UFO in a club called Tin Pan Alley. It became quite massive at the time.
yeah,
And the sub club had been the in place and the popular place, and all of a sudden it emptied. Everybody started going to these other places. So they approached Stuart and Ord, Dave and myself and said, do you guys want a Saturday in Jamaica Street? We'll give you the club on a Saturday night. So we thought, yeah, because we'd always felt it was a better venue than other venues. So we took it over thinking, oh, we're on to a winner here. And the reality was, it didn't really kick off. Initially, it took a wee while. And then myself and Stuart McMillan get asked to do, what do we call them again? Stone Roses gig on Glasgow Green.
yeah,
And truth be told, Stuart and I didn't even know who the Stone Roses were at the time.
right,
We were like, this is mental. We turned up at Glasgow Green, there was a massive queue.
yeah,
And we were like, who are these guys? And we did the gig, and then after it, they came to the club, and we were maybe 6-7 weeks into doing Saturdays at that point. But then Stone Roses came down to the club after the gig, and from there it just kind of got really busy, and it stayed very busy for like 3-4 years till the Slam guys started doing the Arches, and they started going to more techno.
yeah,
They
yeah,
started going harder and faster,
yeah,
and it wasn't as if I was going softer or slower. I was just still playing what I liked in
yeah,
house, but
yeah,
I wasn't quite as committed to the hard banging stuff.
yeah,
And when they started a Friday Pressure, I don't think it was called Pressure at that time. I think it was just Slam or
yeah,
Soma on a Friday. That started affecting our Saturday numbers. That started to become the big place. But between us, we also did a Thursday, a Friday, and a Sunday.
right.
We
So
were
you
all
you were
quite big
getting about
nights
a
as well.
bit.
So we had,
Yeah,
between
yeah,
us, we had 4 nights a week in Glasgow, and all of them
yeah,
were quite good. It was just a moment in time where
yeah,
it was all kicking off.
yeah, yeah,
And then they started doing that. That emptied us out a bit. The people that owned the club that had just taken it over had a meeting with us and basically said, we want to get rid of Ord and Stewart, but if you want to stay on, we're happy to keep you on. And I just had my first son, Jasper, was just born in 1990. And I think Vanya was still pregnant at the time. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I had a meeting with them, and I thought they might say, come and join us at the Arches or whatever. But
yeah,
that didn't happen. Basically, I said, okay, I'll stay at the sub club, and I got my friend Oscar. I got Oscar involved and Dominic as well, and we were given the Saturday night at the sub. And to be honest, I was quite nervous as to how well we would do, because we'd gone from getting 400-500 people every Saturday down to like 200. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I was like, oh God, this could be the end. But
yeah,
all of a sudden, it just kicked off again.
right.
And we got really busy again because we weren't playing mad techno. We were playing, I don't know, like under 126 BPM kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Slam at this point had got up to 130 odd
yeah,
BPMs. And
yeah.
we're
So
happy.
that market in Glasgow was there at that
Oh,
time
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for the taking. Yeah,
Yeah. And they I mean, good luck to them. I mean, we're all still pals and they still
Yeah,
do their thing and we do our thing. And occasionally, I still do the sub occasionally. We did it last year or earlier this year with Orton Stewart, who they'll
yeah,
come and play
yeah,
a house here thing.
yeah, yeah. Can I just ask? So, I guess, was there a moment you've spoke about a few things there about the numbers going down, the numbers coming back up. Is there one night or moment that you feel that it changed, that it all clicked? You talked about the Stone Roses there, and that was definitely an influence. In that second spell with Oscar and Dominic, was there a night that clicked for you guys there that you thought, yeah,
The very first night that we did Subculture, we didn't really know what to expect, and it was mobbed. And for the last record I played, who was it that did No No No? It was still an import at the time. No No No, you don't. Don Penn.
yes, yeah,
I played that as the last record, and the whole place erupted. No one had ever heard that record before
right,
either. It was
right,
just so against the grain of, like techno and house or whatever at the time. And it's even like Johnny from Optima was like, I remember just thinking this is amazing because it
yeah,
was just kind of like fresh sounding,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And I remember thinking, oh yes, thank fuck for that, like an enormous relief of,
Relief went over
oh
you.
God,
And and
yeah.
and I, yeah, I guess that leads on to how do you keep it fresh? What do you do? Is it tracks like that you pull out that
For me,
you
it's
know?
new music. I mean, I spend hours. I mean, probably way more than I need to or ought to, going through promos and trying to keep up with stuff. And I'm always chasing my tail. But for
Right?
me, it's always about kind of trying, like probably for Keith from Optima as well. John Peel was a big
Yeah,
influence in us, and it's that idea of introducing people to something they've never heard before, but they
yeah,
might go, "Oh, what is this?"
yeah,
Rather than playing the favourites. I do get asked to do these kind of nights, but
yeah,
I don't want to do that. I really would rather be interesting to myself.
yeah,
Playing new stuff. Although
yeah,
nights like Christmas and certain occasions, it's like you've got to be entertaining, but at the same time, it's more fun to do it when you know
yeah,
that they don't know what you're playing.
yeah, yeah. Can I ask you, what do you think makes both the sub club and subculture um, so special for dancers and for people that like music. They're two iconic things. They're two separate things because the sub club is the club and it has lots of different nights. Then you've got subculture, which is just iconic. What in your mind makes it special for people to come to the venue and to the night?
I think the kind of ethos of the people that have owned it, I've been through several owners of the club,
Yeah.
but they've
Mm.
all bought into that idea of you're doing something a wee bit different, like a restaurant or something that's, trying to present a different menu and keep it changing all the time or interesting. And so it's always been owned by really quite cool, nice people. Staff have always been quite good, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? From the
yeah, of
door staff to the cloakroom
course.
staff.
Yeah,
There's no like real pecking order of,
no,
the owners have always been quite cool, chilled out people.
yeah,
It's never
yeah,
been a kind of, it's always been a wee bit, some people go, oh, you guys could have done this. You could open a club in London, and you think, but it's all right. We kind of quite like what we're doing here. It's never
yeah,
been a overly ambitious. It's never really been about money.
yeah.
It's never
That,
really been
yeah,
about let's make more money. Every so often, if numbers drop a wee bit, we get the finger out and get new PR people in and whatever
yeah,
and try and. But Usually we let it get to that stage before we do anything about it.
Yeah, but you're not chasing the arena tours, you're not chasing the
No, no, no,
festival
no,
circuit or anything like that. It's about, and I
no.
guess that's true. I still go to the sub club. I'm over 50 years old. I still feel welcome
Yeah,
there. I think it's always an educated crowd. So I always feel like I'm home
yeah.
at the club. So I guess there's a lot of people that feel that way as well. Can I talk about just over that number of years? There's been a lot of local talent that's come through the doors there. What was your ideas for nurturing that talent? Did you hear people and think, I need to get them into the club, I need to give them a platform? Is that something that you?
People would send us mixes and stuff like that, and I think that Telford, who plays
Yep.
regularly now at the club and managed the club until very recently, was just started off as a kind of glass collector, but he'd listened to Dom and myself's mixes, and then I think he sent Dom a mix, and Dom said, "We need to get this guy in. He's really good." Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And we'd listen to it, and so it's kind of things like that. It's just people tipping you off to somebody that could fit in and be good, and then for a while with Asa and Junior and different young folk that they've maybe started doing other nights and got us in as guests, and you've thought, "Oh, they're good. I like what they're doing."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more a kind of word of mouth thing.
Yeah. 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 Kind of reciprocation there
Yeah.
as well. Can I move on to alongside your DJing, you've released music under different aliases and run labels. How does your production stuff intersect with your role at the sub club or the subculture nights? What differentiates that? Does that give you a platform to go off in another direction, or do you think you stay in your lane there?
When I first I had no thought of like making music until Ord and Stewart made a couple of tunes and they did well, and then a guy that managed bands in Glasgow said, "Do you want to try and make a tune? I'll give you studio time." The studio was actually above the sub club in the top floor of that building.
Mhm.
A guy called Mark Goldinger that he had Henry Africa's and some big club in Dundee as well. But he's a really nice guy, Mark. And he said, "Oh, I'll put you in the studio with these guys like musicians. You just come with ideas." And the first couple of tunes I made for Mark did moderately well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Eh, enough for him to get me remixes and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, actually, I can do this. I'd never really thought I could before, and I'm still not very technical. And over the years, the first few things that I did in maybe the early 90s, I mean, for me, the most amazing thing is I got a record in John Peel's Festive 50,
right.
number 12 or something in 1992 or 3. But for me, that was like, I could
Aye,
die a
yeah,
happy man. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And yeah, it was never a big record in the house scene or anything. He just took a shine to this record.
yeah,
And that, it's not like, and then I had a minor hit, a kind of minor chart hit thing that got to 22 or something like that. And it actually sold, in those days vinyl sold quite a lot. So it kind of sold
yeah,
shitloads.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
made pretty good money off it.
yeah.
And I started my own label. And then, I mean, I thought in whatever year it was, I stopped doing a vinyl label. I thought 6,000 sales was terrible. Now you could get to number one in the charts by selling
Yes, yeah, yeah,
6,000 vinyl,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
to me, that was signaling I've had it because most of my releases sold 14, 15,000.
Right,
Do you know what I mean? I just thought, oh God, the arse is falling out of this.
right, okay.
And so I stopped making records really for a while. And also I was getting a lot of DJ work.
Yeah,
And I'd got a residency in London in the mid 90s that I did for about 7 or 8 years. I used to fly
right,
down to London on a Friday night,
right.
back on a Saturday afternoon to do a club called Plastic People.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
And that was quite popular at the time. And so I was doing okay and I was getting work abroad as well, quite a lot in Europe. And then it's only really when gigs dried up, about there was a wee lull about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember when we did Boiler Room, but we'd had an agent, and then work was just kind of drying up, and I was like, oh, we're not getting a lot of work. So I thought I'd better start making tunes again. And so more recently, I hooked up with my friend Max, who'd been a guy that used to come to the club, and I'd just known, and we got on really well. And lazy me was thinking, who do I know that's got the technical abilities that lives nearby? And then Max and I just hit it off. And so
Right.
we were, we haven't done so much recently because Max does other things as well. Max acts, does voiceovers, he does a lot of other kind of creative things as well, also DJs. But we were, when we first started working together, we were super productive. We were just rattling stuff off. We just did a very good way of working together. And so we've still got over 100 tracks sitting there that we've
Right.
never even
Okay.
put out yet. But
Right.
we feel we like them and it's okay for them to sit on the shelf and wait. We were just starting to get a wee bit of traction when the pandemic happened,
Right.
and we just got really, like Andrew Weatherall had phoned us up and gone, these are amazing. And we were just like, wow, we were like,
Uh-huh.
well chuffed, we were like, oh,
Yeah.
this is magic. And then the pandemic happened and people stopped buying dance music. So we made, we've done other sort of genres of music, down tempo, warm up stuff, all kinds of stuff. But recently we had a kind of health issue earlier in the year, so our work slowed down and we've not done so much. But we both fully intend to get back into being more productive again,
Yeah. I
later in
feel.
the year.
Yeah. I feel there's a Harry archive coming out. Is
Oh, got
that
masses of stuff.
brilliant?
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff, lots of stuff that I like. But the thing is, what I've realised over the years is you can never second guess the public. The stuff that you make that you sometimes think, oh man, that's we can do better than that. This is
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
and largely seems to go ignored. And the stuff that you think maybe wasn't so good is what people seem to like, and you go, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then maybe 2 years later, you get it, and you kind of go, actually, that was quite good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it's like you're so close that you can't see it,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
sometimes we weird. And I've found that, before even Max, when I did stuff with other people, you go, this is the one. And it turns out that's not the one,
Not the one.
that
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something else often that they like.
Yeah. You spoke there about having the residency in London. Was there a time that you realised, when you were selling records, were those records going worldwide? Were they, was there a time you thought, actually, I have gone out of Glasgow now. There's an international thing about what I'm doing that's not just resonating with the people that come down on a Saturday night, it's resonating with people across the globe.
Well, that's an interesting thing. First time I ever went to America, I was like, it was before mobile phones, were in the early 90s or whatever, and going into record shops and seeing a whole Glasgow section of
Right,
record labels from
right.
Glasgow. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah,
that's mental. But by the
yeah,
same token, a lot of the Americans were coming over here and going, can't believe, it's like you couldn't get arrested in Chicago, but you're a star in
yeah,
Oak
yeah,
Bridge or somewhere like that. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? They were
yeah,
like
yeah,
amazed that people knew who they were or the music, and it was a similar thing. But I never really thought, oh, I've made it internationally. I was just kind of surprised that people in Portugal or whatever, or in France
yeah,
had a residency in Paris or whatever for a wee while. You
yeah,
were like, wow, who would have thunk that?
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
more like baffled
Right,
than
okay.
ambitious or anything.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, oh, I'm hitting the big time now. It was like,
yeah.
I've
Wow.
always said, my son once blamed me. My son's quite a successful DJ now.
Yeah,
And I remember he had a program on the radio and he said to me, Dad, you've given me imposter syndrome. Because I would always say to him, you're lucky. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
not really imposter syndrome. It's just like I can't believe
yeah, yeah,
how lucky I've been. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think it was because I had a plan or I worked hard or I was diligent or anything. I think it just sometimes a lot of stuff to do in the world of creativity, it's quite arbitrary.
yes,
Who
yeah.
decides? Do you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's a different sphere than a normal job. It's
Yeah,
a feeling you're giving people to a
yeah,
certain extent, and yeah, I understand that now with the art that I see in the hall, that that you're coming to play. That's a thing that is it's very subjective, but it's the feeling that it leaves you, and that's what you've created for people um,
yeah,
over those years. Can we go through some tracks?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? What a few records that would maybe warm up a night for you. What would you do to get people into the groove?
Generally, I think of a night in the sub club. It depends, when you go different places, and it depends if you're going on as the very first person as people are coming into a room. I would start at a slower BPM,
Yeah,
generally below 100 beats per minute, and try and play a kind of nice mood for people to come into a room and gradually pick it up. So in the sub club, we would aim to maybe get people dancing. If we open the doors at 11 o'clock, you're not really going to play anything obvious or that is kind of squarely aimed at the dance floor, unless there's people arrive from Belgium or somewhere that just happen to
they're
think,
going wild.
this is good. You know what I mean? You're not really thinking, or you know what I mean? People
Yeah,
from Glasgow, generally it'll take 40, 45 minutes till they're warmed up, and then
yeah,
you maybe by that time you're up to about 115, 16 beats per minute, and slowly take it from there. So generally, Dominic and I would work on BPMs, like building a mood by slowly increasing the tempo.
yeah. Can you name a track from that kind of what would you play if that was
The thing that I'm trying to look, see, I deliberately got iTunes open in my other
good?
computer, because I don't really play many old things.
Uh-huh.
Even my warm-ups
You're always creating, you're always looking for that
will
new
be
vibe,
from
that
that week
thing.
or that
Yeah,
new.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there's
yeah,
things like, I don't know, like Moonwalk by Blaze,
yeah,
something like that is a tune that's, I don't know, it's like early 90s,
yeah.
but you can still play it and it's still got that
Fresh.
amazing warm-up atmospheric
Yeah, yeah,
type of vibe
yeah.
that certainly Dom and myself like.
Right, okay.
It's old, but it's got a thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You know,
it's
it's
a
yeah.
timeless piece. What about peak hours? What's a song? What's on your peak hours playlist? I guess at the moment, is there something new that you?
Again, it would be new at the moment. I'd probably play a lot of kind of Afrobeaty
Yeah,
stuff. And what? Oh God, I'm just going to open record box here to see what I've been playing recently. Because a lot of times I don't even know the names of the
yeah,
tracks. I've
yeah.
just gone through hundreds of stuff and narrowed it down
Right, okay.
to what I might
Let's
play.
let's talk about let's talk a wee bit about that process then. So when you're listening, how do you organize record blocks? What will you do? What's your categories for doing that? Is it by BPM? Is it
Uh, Generally, I get sent, I don't know, 500 tracks more a week,
yeah,
of which I will spend the whole week narrowing down to
right,
100-ish or whatever. And then from that, what will I actually play? Do you know, there's tunes that I think that's quite good. Seeing in a dull week or something, or a no news week, that would make the cut. But in that
right,
some weeks you've just got loads of stuff and you're like,
yeah.
you know what I
How
mean?
how am I gonna get through all this?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant.
And
Yeah.
so looking at what I would have played the last time I played the sub, which was just a couple. When was that? The 15th of November. Oof, there you go. an old Jose Padilla thing, MDA grooves, Rabo and Snob, African stuff,
Yeah.
random fat. Oh God, I don't even know what any of these things are. I just know that I know a remix of an old H Foundation thing, a new thing by Amy in collaboration with somebody African, a thing by Jovan, who's like an old New York act.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite new. Frank Roger, who's a French guy that makes stuff I like. Jeppy, I don't know where he's from. I think he's French as well. Uh, what else is that? You see, I'm looking at these. Well, there, I played a remix of the Fine Young Cannibals. She drives me crazy. It's quite good. Chicken Lips, Crooked Man. Eh, I look at my tracks and think, oh God, African. Quite a lot of African-y stuff I like
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mike Dunn, I've always liked Mike Dunn stuff.
Right.
Glen Underground, I love Glen Underground. Radio Slave, I'm a big fan of Radio
Yeah.
Slave. Junior Sanchez, Raz and Afla, Stefan, a French thing.
I think that shouts to me that that's part of the appeal for subculture. It's that way that you're always innovating, you're always looking for those new things. You're never staying static in that lane. You're always looking for that new thing that's coming out,
Yeah,
that's adding to what's already there. You've got that base, that bottom line,
yeah. It's more
and yeah,
interesting. It's more exciting as a DJ to do that.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
And
to find stuff.
like I say, that's what makes subculture um,
Yes,
for the
I
people.
just yeah, I always think, God, I want to say Graz. See, I'm trying to look at names that people might know. A thing by Groove Armada, names that people know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you won't know the actual track because it won't be an obvious one. I played a
yeah,
thing by Steely Dan recently as well. So occasionally you'll go back and play old stuff
yeah, yeah,
as well. Scatman, Austin Laddie, Junglewood, Gled. There's somebody, I don't know where Gled is from, but this Gled, whoever Gled is, has made loads of stuff that I like recently.
right,
GLEDD.
right.
Edits of old stuff that I like as well. An edit of an old thing by the Hudson people that I really like. Yep. So this is all recent stuff that I played, but no one will really know what much of it is.
Yeah,
A reflex
because it's
revision
so
of
fresh.
Leroy
Yeah,
Burgess,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
There's lots of promos in there that might
Yeah,
not come out for a couple of months or whatever. So they're getting to hear that fresh off the press, really.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
oh no, on you go.
I guess what what will the people in Dunoon, what are they, what should we expect from you? Is it the unexpected? What should we expect from you?
I would have no idea. I just kind of would make up when I
Yeah,
see the room and what's
yeah,
happening and what
yeah,
seems to work well.
right,
And then if I play something that I think is working well, then what work well off the back of that?
yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, maybe like
A
a,
true DJ, Harry, a
yeah,
true,
you're trying to read the room. You just
yeah,
try to read the
yeah,
room and go,
yeah,
oh, if you like this, you'll
yeah.
like that.
I've got one for you. Yeah,
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 it's
brilliant.
that kind of thing, it's not like you have a preconceived idea, to try and think, what would people in Dunoon? I know that maybe in some ways they probably, if you played stuff like Gypsy Woman and whatever, people like all that, but I tend not to want to do that.
Yeah,
I will play for a gig like that, one or two things that folk might know, but I'm not really going to play soul to soul.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
that type of thing.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I just think I wouldn't enjoy that.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're going to bring your blend and bring it to the people.
yeah. Yeah. I don't mind, occasionally, it's like, if I went to a wedding or a party or somebody plays Dancing Queen and everybody's loving it, I'm like, I get it. I love it too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just I'd rather someone else did that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, can I ask you if I want to ask you from if you were somebody was saying to you, I'm going to start a night in Glasgow. They were young, they didn't know any better. What would your top tips be to them, Harry? What would it be?
I don't know because now I feel that I'm so out of touch in lots of ways. If I look at the lineups for festivals and whatever, I'm like, who are these people? I don't even know. A
Right.
lot of the guests we book, I think I used to know because you went into a record shop. I read the magazines. I lived in that world and I was immersed in it. And
Yeah.
now I find because it's online now, it's like it's a solo pursuit. I'm just finding things in corners of the internet. And I
Yeah.
think, well, that's good. And
Yeah.
then if I discover an artist that I like, I'll go and I'll find out everything I can and go through their back catalogue. And that is how I find music. Whereas before it would be, every record shop you went to, you knew a guy there and they'd put a bag aside for you because they could hook
Yeah.
into,
Create it almost for
yeah.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas now I don't know who anybody is, or I mean,
Right.
terrible. I don't know what's going on. I'm still managing to play, keep
You're
people
still managing
dancing,
to
but
do it.
I've no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
playing myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll finish off at what does the next chapter look like for subculture? Is there anything coming up? Is there anything that you think will be done differently, or will it stay
I
as it is?
think, well, up until the summer, really, Dom and I did every week. I've done every Saturday, or well, Saturdays that I've been in Glasgow, not away guesting, since 1990. So 35 years I've done every
Yeah.
Saturday. Dominic's been there since 94 with a year or two break where he was in
Yeah.
Barcelona and he only came back monthly. Uh, so I've kind of been there all the time. And then this summer we decided, right, that's 30 years. We've done it together. Let's not do it every week. Also, it's a lot of pressure to try and come up with 2 or 3 hours of completely new music every week. Takes me a few days. I'm only playing for 2 or 3 hours, but it's about
Yeah.
30 plus hours of
Yeah. Yeah.
research to find that music.
Yeah.
So now each of us is only doing, we'll still do a few Saturdays, whatever a year together, but we'll do it with different people. And it's quite good in a way because it keeps you fresh. And Dom's a
Yeah.
bit like myself as well. He would always play records every week that I don't have a clue what he's playing. He doesn't have a clue what I'm playing.
Yeah.
But we seem to psychically tune into a very similar groove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And quite
Yeah.
easily, cruise from
Yeah. Bounce off each other.
off each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what next year because I think a lot of that is up to an office, and I'm of an age and whatever that I just think I still love doing new stuff and whatever, but I don't know. It's not like I'm a trend spotter that I can see what's going to happen in the future. I mean, I ask my son for advice all the time, like, do people still like this or whatever? Because my son travels and he plays
Yeah.
different places.
Yeah.
But I honestly think I'm glad I never. I did a wee bit in that world a few years ago, but I like the residency idea. It's relaxing. It's
Yeah.
you do what you want. It's
Yeah.
I think he's going to places like Italy and all that, and you end up you're playing in a back room and you don't really know. Do you know? It's like you could be anybody or whatever. I think I quite like just having the residency and that
Yeah.
idea that
Yeah.
you can make up something different every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
I've never really had any game plan.
Right. Right. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for doing the interview with us. It's been absolutely brilliant. have you got a couple of words for the people of Dunoon, the good people of Dunoon, Harry, that are coming to see you
Oh,
Friday the 19th of December in the Dunoon Borough Hall? Give us something for the crowd.
God. It's like, you know that thing people say, oh, what's your favourite night ever? You're long, oh, God, I've got about 100. I can never think of it when I'm put on the spot. I worry, right? I'm not a big worrier because I've had enough disastrous nights and enough successful nights to feel, well, it is what it is. And eventually, I would like for it to be really good and to be memorable and something that maybe you could do again or that people like. That's you're always going to hopeful that, oh, that's a result.
Yeah.
But part of me is always thinking, please God, may this not be a tragedy.
I promise you
I
from the
was
bottom,
positive.
I was positive. I promise you from the bottom of my heart, the people of Dunoon will look after you. They will dance their hearts out for you, Harry. You mark my words. This is going to be an epic night. And
Oh,
Jess,
good. I
I
hope
would love
so.
it. I'd love to have you back if it goes well, which I know it will. So,
Well, I hope so. I
yeah,
used to go there with my friend, fixed
right,
photocopiers
right.
at
Oh,
the,
right,
the
okay.
naval base.
Ah,
He'd
yes,
smuggle,
yeah, yeah,
he'd smuggle me over on the ferry.
right,
And so I always kind of had fond memories. And then I don't know if you ever knew Guy Ross Balfour.
right.
I think he's a
Sure.
big set designer for films, for
Right,
film and
okay.
television. Ross and Brenda, they lived there. I knew them.
I'm
And
sure there'll be people that know. Yeah, yeah,
I've always had the kind of, oh, that's quite a part of Scotland that I don't really know, but I've always enjoyed visiting.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I find it's those quieter, small places that generally you go, this is magic, you know what I mean? Because you go to
yeah,
some big fancy club in Berlin,
yeah,
and it's kind of quite often full of pretentious twats.
yeah, yeah.
And you're just like, this is rubbish.
I'm not going to say we'll keep all of them away, but I'm sure the crowd are going to be
I'm
up
sure
for
it'll be
it.
full of fashionistas.
Yeah. So, thanks very much, Harry.
Right,
We'll
thanks,
see you
Greg.
on the 19th. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, cheers, man.